Bickley and Marotta mornings. Arizona sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
The Arizona Cardinals once owned this town. Granted, it took the wholesome charisma and all-American underdog story of Kurt Warner. It took Larry Fitzgerald, the most revered athlete in the history of our state. It took an improbable run to the Super Bowl. And then it took Bruce Arians, one of the most compelling, entertaining head coaches we have ever seen. Now, I bring this up because today marks the beginning of a new era. And the Cardinals better get this one right. Because in recent times of trouble, this organization seems to drift toward dysfunction. It was plagued by dysfunction during the entirety of Bill Bidwill's reign. It returned after Kurt Warner retired, and we all remember Derek Anderson's comments earlier this year, and dysfunction has defined this franchise for the past 2 seasons. Now, there are low expectations for 2023, but there are also more signs of short-sighted, cost and corner-cutting maneuvers with an owner not inclined to spend his way to success, certainly not like the new guy in town. Now, because of Matt Ishbia, it's a pretty good bet the Suns are going to continue to be our hallmark franchise for some time to come. But the Cardinals have a credibility crisis that must be addressed and must be put to bed. They don't need to win games, but they need to have a season like the Lions did last year, restoring hope and belief in the Valley. And in the end, they need to look like a team with the right plan, the right leaders, and the right owner.
Yeah, lessened expectations for the Arizona Cardinals this year certainly is one of the plot lines as training camp gets underway. And, of course, all kinds of training camp coverage all around the clock here on Arizona Sports, the Arizona Sports app, arizonasports.com. We got you covered.
Yes.
But at the very, very least, you hit on something that I think should be an easy box to check on this checklist, and that is, and maybe it's not as easy as I'm portraying it to be, but it seems like they're going in the right direction, eliminating dysfunction.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I think...
ED. That's the motto.
This year, we got ED.
Eliminating dysfunction. Yeah, listen, it's modest goals, but it's essential given what this organization has been through the last couple of years.
I mean, ED is not something you normally want to accomplish.
No, but in this case you do. In this case you do. So I think in the case of the Cardinals, look, we all know that they might be overmatched on the field, but the teams that know they've got the right stuff, and they just need time to bring in the right people, they can turn these seasons into seasons that their fan bases are proud of. I know this for a fact because I grew up with Walter Payton's Bears, and they could not win because they were run by a cheap-ass owner. Right? Seriously. They had no chance at winning, but they had that fight in them. And they had Walter Payton. And every Sunday you walked away going, okay, we lost again, but you know what? That was fun. That was
Walter
a fist
Payton
fight.
had 200 yards.
Right, exactly. So you can win in the NFL without winning. Dan Campbell and the Lions proved it last year. Now, you can only have that season once, but that's the kind of season the Cardinals need to have.
Because now there are expectations on the Detroit Lions.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now they're opening on the road at Kansas City to start a season.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the case of the Cardinals, that's what this football team has to vibe on. Fight, physicality, surprising people, never giving up, never giving in, never letting the stress of being one of the lesser teams in the NFL throw you off your mark or your preparation. It's a lot easier said than done. A lot easier said than done. One of the things I'd like to get into briefly, if you don't mind, it's one of the things that struck me, and we talked about this before the show came on. For those who have seen the series Quarterback on Netflix, Vinny and I are basically the same amount into it. We're both 3+ episodes into it, and we both have exactly the same takeaway, that Kirk Cousins is a lot more likable than you thought. What a dork!
He's kind of a dork.
That Patrick Mahomes is kind of a cheeseball. Mm-hmm. In fact, he's got this really annoying way of complimenting every defensive player in his vicinity in hopes that they will not hit him as hard. It's Larry Fitzgerald's playbook. Remember him?
Yes.
Okay. And Marcus Mariota, it's like, okay, could they have gotten a better
Can we fast forward over the Marcus Mariota
Exactly,
parts?
Exactly. But when you see the contact these quarterbacks take and you see when the physicality gets between your heads, Kirk Cousins during this show gets hit so much, he's like grunting and groaning through the course of a game. He goes back to the sidelines at one point and goes, "I'm so sick of this. I'm sick of being hit." And and you get a real clear picture of the violence. And all three of these guys, to a man, say, yeah, there are times when I ask myself, what am I putting myself through this for?
Yeah.
Why am I taking these kind of collisions? And you say to yourself, that's Kyler Murray's world. How is Kyler Murray going to find a comfort zone in that world? And that is really going to be the key to everything in the short term.
But I will say this. Kyler Murray compared to the quarterbacks, and it really stood out on Kirk Cousins, some of the hits he took last year and what he played through. But Kyler Murray, comparatively speaking, because of his skill set,
Doesn't
take hits like that.
Doesn't mean he's not afraid of them.
Well, that's a great point. Who wouldn't be?
Oh, that's the point. That's the point.
I think
the fact that we require these quarterbacks to have that kind of courage is whack when you see what they go through. When you really see what they go through, you're like, wow.
I mean, I think the fact that he goes out of his way to avoid it more than most quarterbacks do maybe shows that he does fear the physical contact.
Well, we know that. But to do the job right, you have to get up and over it, because you see in the series how much Kirk Cousins' teammates love him because of that. Because he just keeps playing.
And now you factor in Kyler coming back from an injury and how that affects his fear of contact.
He's coming back at some point. We don't know exactly when. He was placed on the physically unable to perform list today, which really amounts to nothing in terms of his regular season availability right now. It's just the starting point for this training camp for Kyler Murray. And another thing we don't know is exactly what Jarrett just said. For a guy who has been adverse to contact throughout his career, and now you add that psychological hurdle of, I know, look, this is not the knee that I was born with.
That's right. That's right.
This is rebuilt, and I don't know if I can trust it yet.
Can I still juke, plant, and cut and get away from people the way I always have?
Yeah.
Or is that thing going to go twang again?
ACL is actually 4 times stronger after they repair it. You just have to trust it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell that to your
4
brain,
times.
though. Exactly.
Yes. I know.
Is that right? 4 times.
That's what my doctor told me. Hair flip.
How long did it take you to come back from your ACL, Sarah?
Like a year and a half.
Did you injure it when you were cheerleading?
Actually, no. It was the stupidest thing. I was playing flag football, and my defender just plowed directly into me.
Wow.
And it went bing.
So you returned to the flag football field a year and a half later?
I didn't, but I did go back to tumbling into
Okay,
chair and stable as ever.
Okay, so you've got to trust. That's about it.
You can do it, Kyler.
That's right. You can do it, Kyler.
Yep.
Yeah, this is going to be fascinating for those 2 elements. A guy coming off of his first significant injury that can derail even the sturdiest of competitors, now entering the realm of Kyler Murray's skittishness, and that's going to be a tough thing for him to have to pull off. But you know what? He's certainly got the talent to do it.
Either he does it or he doesn't do it.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.